BBC have decided to conduct a propaganda-style interview with a legal asylum seeker. That's what they're saying, like, you know, only God knows. They're not even going to reveal his identity. So how are we going to know he's legal or illegal? But anyway, they're going to sit down with a guy named Ibrahim, and he's going to be talking about his experience in the United Kingdom. He's one of the guys that was in the asylum hotels. So his story is basically he came here legally, and then his wife also came here, but then there's a conflict in Sudan. So remember, he came here legally. So he's had to claim asylum, but now he has to stay under taxpayer-funded hotels, migrant hotels. I don't know how that works. If you came here legally, then surely you should be able to work and, you know, provide a living for yourself. You know, you shouldn't be that at the expense of the taxpayer. He's probably going to say that he came on a 20-hour-per-week work visa. That's what I'm guessing. But ultimately, this interview is just trying to demonize the people that were just, you know, outside protesting. You know, they're protesting because they're just sick and tired of funding these hotels. They're protesting because a lot of people coming in, not all, but a lot coming in, are, you know, not adhering to UK law. They're going around doing whatever they want. You know, there's no safeguarding put in place. What's going on? Who are these people? You know, they're throwing passports in the sea. You know, I've been saying this for through many videos, past videos, and people are just not happy, and they're taking to the streets to protest. And it's not just English white people, it's also Asians, it's also Africans, it's also Caribbeans. And we saw that a few days ago outside the Britannia Hotel. You know, a lot of people came out to voice their concerns, like what's really going on here. So the fact that BBC are just trying to spin this into Ibrahim, how do you feel? And they're going to make him the victim in this. It just doesn't seem fair, honestly. But anyway, guys, let's get straight into this propaganda interview.
50,000 migrants have arrived in small boats since Labour won the election last July. That is a symbolically significant number, and it's about 13,000 more than the same period in the 12 months before, when the Conservatives were still in power. We know the government's intention is to, in its words, smash the gangs, and it's announced that one-in, one-out deal with France. This summer has seen protests, as you know, outside hotels housing asylum seekers, and we've reported from both Epping and Canary Wharf. It's rare you hear from those living inside the taxpayer-funded hotels. Tonight we do. Ibrahim, not his real name, is 32, and he came to the UK legally in 2022 on a student visa from Sudan. He's doing a PhD in engineering at university here. In 2023, a vicious civil war broke out in his country. In February this year, Ibrahim's pregnant wife came to stay with him on a visitor visa. After that, he applied for asylum for his family because he tells us he will be persecuted if he went back home. They are now living in a hotel for asylum seekers in Wolverhampton. He asked us to protect his identity for fear of reprisals and explained what it was like when there were protests outside the hotel where they're living.
We have witnessed some people shouting from the outside. So
shouting what?
Shouting that they don't want asylum seekers, that we are causing a threat. Of course, living in the hotel is not the ideal situation, especially because this one is mainly family hotels. So there are a lot of kids, babies. It is not like luxurious lifestyle like media channels portray it. It is literally the minimum basic.
Right. So it's not a five-star hotel?
Not at all.
You do receive just under £10
yes,
for you, £10 for your wife,
yes, exactly,
and your baby.
Yeah, exactly. That's correct. Yes.
Okay. You could work, I understand, on a student visa.
Yes.
You're still on that.
Yes.
It hasn't run out yet. Up to 20 hours a week. Why is it that you're not working at the moment?
Because my student visa is only limited to like 20 hours. It couldn't do that much, and even now I am actively looking for any sort of jobs.
When you're inside the hotel and those protests are going on outside, what is that like for you and your family and the other people, the other families there?
It feels really sad actually, because all of the asylum seekers are also like normal, you know, human beings.
Can I ask how that makes your wife feel?
She is feeling endangered actually. She now rarely goes out to have a walk or something. She feels not really welcomed when she hears such voices. But on the other side, whenever there is a refugee welcoming, protests, we feel so much happier.
I've been to protests in Epping and Canary Wharf, and there are people there who said to me, I'm not racist, I'm not far right, I just don't think we can afford to put up asylum seekers in these hotels when we've got problems in our own country and we just don't have the money and the space to look after them. What do you say to them?
I would say even asylum seekers don't want to be housed in such hotels, because asylum seekers they don't have access to the public funds, and for the vast majority of them they don't have the right to work. So else they will be destitute, they will be homeless.
But in Epping, the protest was sparked really when an asylum seeker from a hotel there was charged with sexually assaulting a teenage girl.
Yes, which is really sad, because we are fleeing from such bad things. How can you cause such hurt to innocent girl? Really sad as well, because when a British-born man commits such horrible crime, normally media will not be as focused as him as if he was asylum seeker. So it really makes me question, is it really about the safety of the children, or it is about who is doing this bad act?
You are on a student visa. As we said earlier, you've applied for asylum for your wife and your newborn.
Yes.
In March, the Home Secretary said that there are people who make asylum claims near the end of their work or student visa, and she suggested that, in some cases, that this was a misuse of the visa system. Do you agree with her?
Yes, I can totally understand that some people abuse visa in system, but in some other cases, some have very legitimate asylum causes. So it is really up to the Home Office to then decide who has genuine asylum cause from who is taking it as a backdoor for economical migration.
Right. Do you know people who are doing that?
I know some, yes. It would be fair to say, yeah, but those are a small fraction,
right?
And they don't represent the whole refugees.
You applied for asylum a month or so after your wife had arrived. There might be some watching who would say, well, you waited for your wife to get here and then you applied for asylum.
It was a really hard decision to make. After I am 100% sure that if I return back to Sudan, I will be killed. And of course, I fear for the safety of my woman and my child.
There are some people who come across the channel from France on small boats, as you know, and the government says they are illegal migrants. The government's announced various measures and is doing various things to bring those numbers down of small boat crossings. Do people in your hotel talk about those measures?
Yes, those are now becoming the hot topic. Most of the people discuss about such things.
Do you think the one in, one out scheme will reduce the numbers coming across in small boats?
To some extent, yes. People will have now a deterrent to not to come here.
Guys, just to wrap up very quickly, it's nothing personal against Ibrahim, only he knows if his asylum claim is legit or not. I don't know his personal situation, so I can't really comment, but I looked at so many clips outside the Britannia Hotel a few days ago, and people were just fed up. They have concerns. If the immigration policy in the UK was better, then this wouldn't be happening. But because the immigration policy is so poor, she even said it, the host, with her own mouth in the beginning, 50,000 have come, which is 12,000 more than the last 12 months of the Conservative Tories. So you even admitted that immigration has just gone up. So people are just upset when they see asylum seekers get lodged in their hotels at the expense of themselves, and veterans are just on the streets. I've lived in London for so long. Veterans, British people, always on the streets, nothing for them, and all of a sudden everything for for asylum seekers. So look, it's nothing against Ibrahim or anything like that. Like, I don't know his whole situation, but you know what happened, those protests, you know, this isn't a fair representation of what happened in those protests. Those protests were done because they want to protect, you know, their children. They want to protect, you know, they're trying to safeguard, you know, their areas, and they're not trying to just fight and confront and scare off asylum seekers. They're not trying to do that. You know, they just want answers, and they've been getting ignored for so long. So that's what I see. So yeah, but anyway guys, let me know in the comment section down below what you think. Like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.